r/ask Reddit. What are some street smarts everyone should know? Street smarts to give your kids: if you get lost, find the closest adult with kids. I saw this in action once at Disneyland when a 4-year-old kid approached me and my kiddos while we were eating. She joined us very calmly, introduced herself, and said her parents gave her the above advice. I heard her parents shouting her name not long after, and the relief on their faces was a sight. There's actually some statistics behind things like this. Even if you ignore the adults with kids thing, the chances of the person you seek out wanting to do you harm is very low. However, if you allow yourself to be picked out by someone, the chances that that person will do you harm increases. Simple reason is bad people go out their way to seek out the vulnerable. Edit. Lots of people are saying they feel wrong for helping people. Don't. You've done nothing wrong and shouldn't feel bad for helping people and should continue to do so. The point is that if you are ever in trouble, ask for help. Don't be embarrassed and don't wait for someone to help you. Teach your children they should ask for help straight away. The bigger the group, the better. Parents with children are a good choice. Maybe ask for help from 2 different groups of people. Some kids are shy and may try to hide away when they get scared. You don't want that. Tell them to stand in the busiest place near to them and start asking for help. It also works if you're older. If you're too drunk, can't phone a taxi, don't wander around looking vulnerable. Ask someone to call a taxi for you. I don't know why this comment creeped me out so much, even though I'm safely in my home and it's good advice. It's just creepy. Walk fast and look pissed off. I was doing this once and 2 guys threw a sausage at me. Lumfeo what? Why? If you are in any sort of confrontation and someone balls their fist and looks away for a second, or even just looks away for a second, you should be prepared for the possibility of a sucker punch. If a group of people suddenly get down, so do you. Dancing intensifies. Get down on it. You should always be afraid of secondary locations. I've heard this before. If someone mugs you, be compliant and give them your stuff. It's just stuff, you can get more. If they try and take you somewhere else though, fight and scream and do anything to escape. Because they don't want your stuff. They want you. And that's not replaceable. I was told the same thing. Even if they're going to kill you, it's better to die there instead of being taken to another location, because it could be much worse whatever they plan to do to you at the second location. And it'll be much harder to find them. You won't get mugged if you look like you're going to mug someone. That reminds me of a comedian. He was going about the scales of not getting mugged fought and he was like, act crazy. No one is going to try and fight a crazy person. Is that the guy who said nobody's going to mug him because he looks like Duck Dynasty and Game of Thrones had a baby? If the situation doesn't feel right, it's not right. Trust your spidey sense. One time I was meeting up with a guy to sell my car. We met up at a mall, so I felt pretty comfortable about the whole thing. He seemed a little off when we met though. I eventually let him take a test drive around the lot and he started to mention taking it for a test drive on the highway. I immediately said nah because he still seemed pretty off, but he kept insisting on taking it there. I had to legit throw the car into park and grab the keys out to keep him from going. The whole time he was saying it's okay, it'll be okay, and that just pissed me off even more. I drove the car back and he just dipped right when we got back without saying a word. That was when I knew I did the right thing. My heart was racing so fast the whole time. It still messes me up just thinking about it. Yeah, you did the right thing. That sounds 100% like he was planning on taking the car and not coming back XD. The fact that he left immediately after just shows that he had no other reason to be there besides to try and steal your car. That part, for whatever reason, really makes me pissed even more than the rest of the story. Never flash your whole wad of cash in a public place while paying for something. Keep a few bucks loose in one pocket for spending. Keep the majority of your cash in a separate pocket. Don't open a wallet full of all your money where other people can see you. My elderly customers always do this and it gives me hives. Like, Eileen, why do you have like £400 in there? Put it the duck away. Come on, Eileen. You might be correct when you have the right of way, but you're still the one that's going to be dead when you get whacked by the car if you're walking or on your bike. My friend's dad always said, the cemetery is full of people who had the right of way. If you're walking and someone approaches, don't break stride. You can carry on a conversation while walking, but people who are looking to proselytize, sell you something, or mug you will want you to slow or stop to address them. If they want to chat, make them keep up with you. You can even tell them that you're in a rush but would love to talk and walk. They'll likely find someone more stationary, because if you can make a person slow, you can make them stop. If you can make them stop, you've already adjusted their priorities and placed yourself at the top. It's a subtle power game. Keep going where you're going, and you retain your power. Stop and cat, and you've given it up and opened yourself to possible problems. This is the answer. You owe no one on the street anything. Don't ever tell the cab driver you don't know where you're going. Why? Because they will take longer routes to charge you more if you don't know the area. When it comes to knife fights, the loser dies in the street, the winner dies in the hospital. Adults do not ask children for help. One time in Disney World, an old couple asked my wife and I if they could speak to our 2 young daughters, ages 10 and 8. Confused, we said sure, but stood right there while they spoke. Can you show us how to find the photos on our cell phone? My daughters helped them out, and as they walked away, they said we usually ask our granddaughters to help us with this stuff. With you being right there, I feel like that's totally acceptable. One time my grandparents couldn't see their phone screen when they were in a city 3 hours away. I think they accidentally turned the brightness all the way down and have poor eyesight so couldn't see the screen. They accidentally called me and I was trying to help them. I just told them a million times to go find a teenager. Always know where the exits are in any place that you enter so that you don't get lost in an emergency. Also, never place yourself in a hole in public where there is only one entrance and exit and no other people around. These are often crime hotspots. When we would, rarely, go out to eat as a family, my pops would only sit facing the door. I never thought anything of it until I was grown. I think it's something that anyone who has training in emergency or protection services do reflexively. For emergency services, you want to know if there's a fire how to get out, and if there's a medical emergency how to get the patient out spine board in. For protection services, you're so used to being on alert that you can't relax if you don't have eyes on the entrance. Wear shoes you can run the duck away in. Be aware of surroundings. Look like you belong either through body language, attire, or occupation, without being oblivious to things around you. The moment you look lost, out of place, or unsure is the moment you can look like a good target. If someone is looking at you with an expression questioning why you are there, be prepared to answer it with confidence and give an answer they would accept, or be prepared to leave before they can ask. Also be 3 feet tall, muscular, have shaved head and long beard. 3 feet. Only break one law at a time except solicitation of prostitution and illegal drug use. They're the PB and jail crimes. Drive it like you stole it, so very carefully, abiding by all traffic laws, to reduce the risk of being pulled over. Yes, exactly. If you're ever locked up and some of the guys are playing cards and you happen to see a card fell into one of their laps, don't try and be helpful and point out that they dropped a card. This is oddly specific. When traveling in Europe, I'm most comfortable keeping my phone in an interior pocket of my coat, which is zipped up. Having good manners and speaking with respect will keep you from getting in trouble you didn't know was there. Edit. Holy shit, did this blow up? I do appreciate all the awards from everyone, raising my karma by 50%. Truly. Form the response. It seems like those that have been in sketchy areas truly understand the importance of manners. It is nice to know there are some good people out there. My hat off to all of you. I wish you all the best. For all of those that do not understand, it is about respect, not only of the person you are speaking to but of yourself. I hope you understand one day. I wish this was higher up. When people talk about street smarts, they too often go to a place of defensiveness and mistrust. You can go a long way by being friendly and respectful. Obviously, you don't act the fool and blunder into a dangerous situation with a smile. But many street encounters start from a neutral interaction. Just passing by people. You can turn a neutral interaction into a friendly one or a hostile one depending on how approach it. I do this especially in my own neighborhood, which is not necessarily a crime-free one. If somebody is sitting on their steps when I walk by and we make eye contact, I usually give a quick smile and say hi as I'm walking past. Almost always, they will say hi in return. They don't know me and I don't know them. But now we've said hi to each other, so the relationship has changed in a slightly positive way. We may see each other again, since we live within a few miles of each other, and now our relationship has just a few points in the friend category. It can make a difference. My countryside ass was saved too many times just because of that one thing. I, Tiny 24, F at the time, lived for 2 years in a drug dealing neighborhood. Not violent, but not really a place you'd have kids in. Having been raised in a nice, cozy village, it seemed normal to me to say hi and smile to the guys that were constantly sitting around my building. I knew they might be dealers, but to me they were also my neighbors and fellow humans. That never bothered me personally, right? We never spoke more than that, but we knew each other's faces. Then one evening I got followed by a guy from the metro station. I didn't say anything, didn't ask anything, but guess who stood up from one of their spots and escorted that stalker back to the station while I got home? They did it more than once, just judging by how I'd look behind me. Or they'd ask me, hey, you know that guy? Dealers don't want the locals to call the police in the neighborhood for any reason. Don't bother them, know them, and they'll make sure you don't have a reason to call the police in on anyone, ever. At least that's how it worked in those places I lived in. I never felt unsafe in that place, even at night. I didn't like living there. It was still a shitty, depressing place, but I never felt unsafe once I kinda knew them. Edit. You guys are too nice. Thanks for the upvotes and the awards. Open bracket. Say hi to your fellow friendly dealers from me. Stop stalking me. Also take your headphones earbuds off. Don't look or get stumbly drunk. Much less likely to have anyone mess with you if you look like you are aware of your surroundings and not distracted. Situational awareness is so important and so many people just don't bother. Nobody approaches you on the street because they want to do something for you. It's always because they want something from you. Do not trust taxi drivers if you are a tourist. I'm not a tourist and I still don't trust taxi drivers. Right. My roomie and I were leaving the pub once and the cabbie assumed because she was very drunk I must be too. He started taking a very scenic route to our apartment and I asked him WTF he was doing, get back on the main route or let us out. He was like, oh sorry, wrong turn. MF trying to take advantage of drunk PPL for more money. Shitty for him. I am a big tipper. He got nada. If somebody asks you your name, have a fake generic name and use it all the time. Mike, Dave, and John will do. I use Arthur Curry, not Jakangim secretly Aquaman. Totally joking. I'm Tyrone Skinnerdip on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, and every other day I'm Chad Jackson. If it sounds too good to be true, it is. Had an experience with this once. 2 masked guys on bikes came up to me and my friends and asked if we wanted some free weed. They showed me something wrapped in tinfoil. Immediately declined. Still wonder what their scam was. If you're driving and hit black ice, just take foot off gas but don't brake until the slide stops. This is great advice. Generally speaking, brakes are not your friend if there is any situation where grip is limited. Braking will often cause the car to become unbalanced and often contribute to a crash. If a stranger talks to you in public, and it's not immediately clear why they're talking to you, ignore them. Just keep minding your own business. Don't look at them, and don't say a word. Most hustles start as just a friendly chat. This should be higher up. Trust that the man literally climbing out of the bushes by the parking lot doesn't need you to tell him the time. He's just using politeness to get close enough. Pay attention when you cross the street on foot. No matter who has the right of way, the vehicle will destroy you, lightly or heavily. Thanks. My dad had an expression about right of way in traffic. You might have right of way, but end up dead right. My driving teacher told me this. Assume everyone in traffic is an absolute idiot. If someone asks your shoe size, start walking LOL. This gave me some bad memories of growing up in a shitty neighborhood. Bro, what size shoes you got? Is not a question you want to hear at 1 AM on a Friday night from someone you didn't even see. The only correct answer is not yours. Edit. See the reply from you / my ex is a cheating horse for an effective alternative. Every answer on the street in a not so nice area is no. Hey, can I have a cigarette? No. Hey, you got the time? No. Hey, can I borrow your phone to make a call? No. Stick up men wanna see your hands. If they can see your hands, they know you don't have a weapon and will be easier to rob. Hey, have you ever seen a grown man naked? No. Always ask for only one scoop of ice cream first because they make single scoops bigger. Then act like you changed your mind and ask for a second scoop. They will be pressured to match the size of the first scoop, providing you with a massive amount of ice cream. I grew up in a pretty rough neighborhood in Chicago, and probably the best thing you should do when walking by yourself at night is pay attention to every car. Usually they'll drive past you and scope you out. If you look like a target, you'll see that car again. Or they'll meet you farther down your path while you're walking past an alley. Always be ready for something when walking past an alley and stay close to the houses. That way, if anything suspicious, you can run into a backyard. Before using any ATM, tug hard on the plastic card reader. Scammers often put a fake one on top that steals your info. Is that stranger being overly nice to you? Are you on the sidewalk? Are you alone? The reason it feels like something is wrong is because something is wrong. If you feel uncomfortable in a Metro Underground car, slip out as the doors are closing. For bonus security, travel back 1 to 3 stops, then resume your journey. Having been mugged once, I'm gonna make M work for it if there is a next time. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Stay safe. But what if I've left my 3-sided die at home? This reminds me of a comedian who was saying the best way to stay safe in a rough neighborhood is to fake a Russian accent cause Russians are terrifying. Don't tell even close friends the amount of money you have on you. I was set up by an 18-year-old female co-worker this week. She seemed like a sweetheart and was giving me rides to work for a few days. I asked on the Monday if we could go to bank as I needed to cash a check for roughly $4,500. Minutes after dropping me near house, I was robbed at gunpoint of everything by 2 guys. They knew how much they were looking for. The robber said he watched me leave bank, but the police saw on camera near home that they had been waiting for me for an hour. One of the robbers was her ex-current boyfriend, it turns out. Eye contact. A lone assailant will often use the element of surprise to their advantage. If you're walking alone and someone is following you, make eye contact to let them know that you are aware of them. This will often dissuade them from attacking. This tactic has worked for me in the past. I was walking down the street at 3 AM in a bad neighborhood. Don't ask why. Heard someone behind me, so I turned around and confronted him. I didn't act scared or hostile. Just something like, "Hey man, what's going on?" The guy was thrown off guard, said he was mistaken and walked away. Pretty sure I was about to get mugged. Could tell he had a gun in the waistband of his pants. When walking in an unfamiliar city or trail, look back regularly. It will help you to remember landmarks that will guide you back home. Look up and notice if street lights have been shot out or smashed. If so, avoid those areas at night. There's a reason they've been disabled. Same with missing street signs. Unless you're on Far From Pupin Road outside of Hot Springs, Arkansas, it's a low crime area, but the street signs always get stolen for some reason. Be aware of your surroundings and trust your gut. Women should not be afraid to appear rude. The book Gift of Fear has lots of great info. Never post vacation information on social media until you're back. You'll most certainly get robbed at some point if you're not smart about it. Also, don't put expensive product boxes, TV, computer, appliances, outside before trash day. People will see your new toys. Or alternatively, start posting from vacation photos once you get back and prepare a Home Alone reenactment with whoever shows up. From experience, if you're alone on the street and you think you're being followed, immediately call someone. Forget about conversation starters and give away your location. You should add, "I think I'm being followed." Speak loudly enough so the person you think is following you hears you doing it. If you're right and they were following you, that will be a big turn off. If you're wrong, you have nothing to lose. It might sound harsh, but if anyone approaches you and asks to use your phone for anything, especially emergency related, don't fall for it. They will usually tell you what the emergency is, so walk away. Tell them you don't have a phone, whatever, and for your inner peace call the emergency and give away that person's location. Tell them exactly what the person told you. Either they really needed help and you're sending it their way, or they tried to trick you into something horrible and will most likely try it again with the next passerby. Whenever you are, plan ahead and blend in with the crowd. I mean, don't dress all fancy in the hood kind of thing. Please, for the love of God, stop using your earphones while on the street. At least try to only have one earbud in if you can't help it. It's not healthy. Ear fatigue, potential risks to your hearing, etc. But at least it won't completely cover the background noises. Edit. I wouldn't imagine this would explode. I just wanted to be helpful. Thank you for the awards and replies. I love to read everyone's experiences. Please stay safe. Point number 4 is especially important. If you are a runner, you can't hear an attacker run up behind you or a vehicle approaching if your headphone or earbuds are in. Nature gave you your hearing for a reason. If you are walking alone at night and you feel like you're being watched, followed, start talking to yourself loudly about crazy shit. Make it a conversation even. OMG, did you see her dress? The dress was so crazy long. Like, how could she walk? Let alone walk in that grocery store. And those cheap plastic shoes. I own those cheap plastic shoes. Are you saying I'm cheap? If the cheap plastic shoe fits, honey, I'll admit to doing this. I used to work graveyard shifts and you gotta be aware. Most people, no matter how bad, try to avoid crazy. Crazy will hurt you back. Edit to add, the only place this technique didn't work was when I worked in Vegas. Cause crazy there is way crazier than I'll ever act look. Just because someone is friendly with you doesn't mean they have a good heart. Edit. You shouldn't have wasted your awards on this comment. I plan to delete my account soon. Lock your doors as soon as you're in your car. If someone offers you drugs, you say thank you. They're really expensive nowadays. Walk around your car before you get into it. Keep your head up and be alert. Or at least look alert. FFS. Turn off your car and take the keys with you when you stop at a store or gas station. Maybe it's because I come from a country with extremely high crime rates and it's second nature to double check if doors are locked immediately after you step out. But are there actual people who don't remove their keys because they think it'll just be a quick trip? That makes me so uneasy. Never drink, do drugs in situations you don't know about. Could be someone spikes it, takes advantage by robbing, rape, kidnapping, whatever it is. Always be paying attention at eat, misspelled word at it too. Everyone's talking about the drugging, which is good awareness, and it's sad to hear so many stories. I just wanted to emphasize the always be paying attention part too. Don't let anything take your attention away when you're in a new potentially dangerous situation. I should have elaborated more on that too. If there is one house that looks occupied on a mostly empty street with burnt down houses, that's a trap house. Asphalt is the world's most recycled material. Have a beach face, but don't talk to me. Don't even dare walk up to me face if you are a woman. If some creep tries to talk to you, give the WTF. Why are you even talking to me look? This is rather cold-hearted but true. Don't believe any sob stories. In my city there is a woman telling she is collecting money for her sick child. All the women's and homeless shelters know she is just a scam artist and she is trying to take any money from anyone who believes her. Edit. OMG, thank you kind stranger for giving me platinum. I feeling sad and anxious went on Reddit to distract myself. Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.